lay out for you the budget so that you're able to introduce it for 2015, put it on the table for a minimum of 20 days on display, and then make a formal adoption at this point, hopefully on December 24th. We're advertised for a meeting that morning. The 2015 Lebanon County budget is being proposed at $67,965,785, with no increase in the tax millage of 2.4925. The overall, that number of 67.9 million overall county budget is decreasing by 23,659,870 for 2015, and probably no surprise to anyone, that is due to the pending sale of Cedar Haven Nursing Home and the elimination of that fund from the budget, which represented just slightly under $30 million. I rounded it up there, but it was very close to $30 million that Cedar Haven existed as a fund. That leaves the general fund, of the 67.9 million, 41,025,000 of that is the general fund. That is increasing by 8%. Most of that increase is due to the inclusion of the annual required contribution toward the county employee pension fund, and that's something that's had a lot of discussion over the last couple of years. That required contribution is $3.9 million for 2015, and for the first time in a long time, probably close to 20 years, I think it was the 1990s, which was the last time that the entire annual required contribution was included. There have been some allocations toward it of $500,000 a couple of years and $100,000 one year, that just as a demonstration of effort, at least, that something was put to the pension fund. But it's been a long time since the full required contribution, as calculated by the actuaries, is being put into the general fund budget. In terms of expenses, the support to agencies is decreasing by 25%, again due to Cedar Haven and the elimination of that fund, and thereby the elimination of general fund support to Cedar Haven, which in 2014 was $1,787,000. The remaining agencies that receive county support are Area Agency on Aging, Children and Youth, Domestic Relations, EMA, MHIDEI, and the Renova Center. There aren't any significant. MHIDEI went down, I believe, from 800,000 to the mid 600,000s. That's a decrease there, but the rest are pretty well in line with what other years. There isn't anything drastic there in terms of support. Debt service payments are unchanged over 2014. They continue on an amortization schedule that's very similar from the last 2 years. No new debt is anticipated at this point for 2015, therefore the debt service payments are the same. Employee health and prescription insurance costs are going up by 5.5%. As I mentioned to department heads earlier this morning, that is a relatively low percent increase in the industry this year. A lot of people in the private sector are seeing increases of 30 and 40%. In the market this year. We belong to the Pennsylvania County Health Insurance Pool. That has, along with 23 other counties, and that has served us well to anticipate the claims, level out the increases in costs. Although they still increase, they don't increase by what we're seeing in other places. So 5.5%, considering the market right now, is a pretty good number. Non-union employee copay and deductible schedules are unchanged. That is primarily because we are still incorporating those deductible schedules and copays into contracts that were signed in 2014. Prior years, there's another one that's still in negotiation for next year for the court professionals, and there's an attempt to also get those copays and deductibles in line with what the non-union are paying. I've listed the salary increases for 2015. Non-union are 3%. Most other unions are 3%, with the exception of the county detectives, and the court professionals, as I mentioned, are in negotiation. That encompasses the probation officers and employees in the domestic relations office. They are under negotiations right now for 2014 and beyond. On the revenue side, again, I mentioned earlier, the property tax millage is staying the same at 2.4925. General fund revenue overall is going down by 3.7%. There is a pretty significant portion responsible for that reduction, and that being the direct and indirect cost reimbursements from Cedar Haven, while at the same time we're eliminating the general fund support of Cedar Haven. There are direct and indirect costs that are billed out to all of the agencies that are non-tangibles. They're not, straight payroll costs or utility costs and so on. They're more of hidden things such as an insurance administration, audit, legal, payroll services, and so on that are billed out to all the other agencies, which included, up until now, Cedar Haven. Since we're not billing Cedar Haven for those direct and indirect costs, because we're not incurring them in 2015, those we won't be getting them. So that's what put the revenue down. At the same time, the support went down. Real estate tax revenues are almost the same as 2014. They're only increasing by 0.3%, which is almost flat. We are seeing some court costs increasing for 2015. Court costs and fines, as I said, again, is going up. Grants and gifts are going down. We continue to see cuts from the state in things like the Renaissance Crossroads program and so on. And then non-revenue receipts is the biggest one you'll see, and that's where the direct and indirect costs. The item I have on here is for central booking. The operating deficit projection for 2015 is just about half, a little over half of what it was projected for 2014. We were looking at 140,000 in 2014. We're down to 79,000 for 2015, and we can have further discussion on this. Probably would be warranted, but in the budget currently, as it's being presented to you today, there's funding for a 24/7 operation of the center for 2015, around the clock. Those are the highlights, I guess I would say.
I'm very pleased with the budget process this year, and I think the three of us worked together solving problems and meeting the needs of not only the staff and the employees, but also the residents of the county in the best way possible.
Part of the revenue here, there is cash coming from the general fund as well to make this balance. So I think that's important. I mean, I noted that. It's known there's $2.3 million in cash. In the short run, that is about the cash we have on hand. Now, when I say the short run, that is until we close on settlement with Cedar Haven, and then we'll have that amount come into the general fund. It'll be there. It has yet to be allocated out in terms of how much goes to pension and so on, but the cash we have on hand at this point is needed to make this budget balance. But
does that include paying the budgeted amount for the pension payment this year?
No.
Okay. Well, we have a list of funds that we have available on the back of Sally's treasurer's report.
Mm-hmm.
And I know to pay the bills till the end of the year, we're going to be using P-CHIP or whatever those refunds were to cover payroll. And my question is, do you see, not looking into next year, with that money, can we also pay the $500,000 that was budgeted?
If settlement goes through, yes. If it does not go through, it's questionable if we could. Well, if you add in the non-refundable deposits, let's just say, for discussion's sake, settlement does not occur by the 26th, but you have the $1,350,000 that didn't have before.
Doesn't occur by the 19th.
19. Well then, yeah, you'll have that on hand.
The $1,500,000, then we could pay
You
it.
could, but then the difficulty is you don't have anything on hand going into 2015 until.
Well, we should have $1 million if we put $500,000 on the pension.
But that's part of what
We're using to balance
yeah,
the
that's part of
budget.
what we're using to balance the budget, because you're going to have that at the end of the day today. It's going to be on hand.